All right, this is Swedish massage on the back, and we are going to just undrape the back and make sure that the hair is out of the way here. We are going to start with applying lotion to our own hands first, and then I'm going to get more lotion for the client here. Make sure that you always warm the lotion up and don't just put it directly on the client. I'm going to start with some super strokes down the back, and here it comes. So this is a good way to start and get lotion all over the back here. We call this the super stroke. You want to get all the way down to the hip bones, and then come out to the side, and then up the side. And then I like to transition into circles around the shoulder. The first few strokes were effleurage. This is more like petrissage. If you need a little more lotion on the side, you can just put it on your hand like that. And I like to work all the way up and down the back like this. So you can go one hand versus the other. As I go forward, I'm using my palms. As I come back, I'm digging in with my fingers. And I'm in that horse stance and just shifting my weight from one leg to the other. Just bend my right knee, bend my left knee. And you can go all the way up and down the back with this stroke. Usually just 2 times is enough. And then as I come back up the back, I'm going to think about what my next stroke is. And I'm going to do this same stroke, but on the other side of the back. So I'm going to come up to the top of the left shoulder and then transition and go on the right side. A variation of this stroke is, instead of just one hand and then the other, you can also stack your hands for a little deeper work. How's the pressure there? Good. You might find that when you're in the low back, the knife edge of your hand fits against the hip better on your down body hand, like that. Could be more comfortable for your client. You can do that same kind of stroke too with the hands next to each other. So we're just leaning back, pushing forward. Again, my fingers are dragging on the way back, and my palms are pushing in on the way forward. You can do that around the scapula too, one hand below the scapula, the other above the scapula. Again, you can stack your hands for more pressure. I can feel that her skin is absorbing the lotion here, and so that's going to naturally slow me down. And so as we get slower, we transition from effleurage into friction. So a good friction stroke might be pressing into the muscles rather than gliding across them. We're changing the angle and going down into the muscles more. And here again, I'm using the knife edge of my hand against her scapula. And you can also come up the teres muscles here and the lats. So after I go up and down the body a couple times, you wouldn't want to do any of these strokes more than 5 or 6 times. That starts to get irritating. Usually 3 or 4 repetitions of the most is good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up to the top and just repeat the super strokes, just to reconnect both sides of the back. And you can see that it's slower now, and I'm digging in with a little more pressure. Can also do some shoulder work while we're here, some more focused work on the shoulders and neck. Can switch it up and use your fists. And that's a good time to transition into fists down the erectors. This is a sharper tool, so you want to check in with your client and make sure that the pressure is not too much. How's this pressure on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's good. It's like a 5.
Okay. How much do you like?
I like what I think you're comfortable doing in the studio.
As you're going down the back, it's important to take little baby steps forward so that you can maintain the same amount of pressure as you go down the spine. And step to the side of the face rest so that you can keep your body mechanics as you get down. So after reconnecting both sides, I'll come down and just do one side of the body, and I'm gonna put some lotion on my forearm so that I can do this kind of stroke. So I've got that foot back, the same foot that I'm using, same side that I'm using this forearm. I have that foot back, and I'm square to the table here. You can repeat this stroke, 3 or 4 times. In fact, you can move up the back like this, doing a few of these, what they call sawing strokes, in each spot. This is a good way to get the lats. And then when you get up toward the scapula, you're going to want to turn alongside the table. Go over the traps. As you come back to the low back, you want to keep contact with the body. This time I'm not going to do as much sawing. I'm just going to do a couple of strokes on the low back and then turn and go up the erectors. If your client's shoulders look like they're getting too high up, you can move their arms down too. Open up some space so that you can really get into the traps. Don't feel like you have to go all the way back down to the low back either. You can also do several strokes just up here on the upper back and on the traps. You can do small circuits around the scapula. You can also do the sawing across the top of the traps. Just repeat a few times going up and down the traps. Make sure that you get the traps near the neck and then also out toward the shoulder. You can also switch and use the other arm. This is a good angle to get into the scapula here. You can get right up against the scapula. You can also do this stroke all the way down the back from this angle. Nice, good to make nice after you do forearm work like that. So I'm applying a little more lotion to my left arm here. So like I was saying, you can do some sawing in this area. And if you want to target the QL more directly, you can just lift your hand up a little bit and get in a little more on your elbow there. And do some more sawing up the back here. Like I said, you can just do a smaller circle right around the scapula. Or just on the top of the traps. You can also use a guide hand to keep your elbow from hitting the spinous processes. Also spread with your forearms. So I'm hooking my left forearm onto the iliac crest And then just moving my right forearm down her back. And then I can just follow with the left forearm. If I have a client with a really tight low back too, a lot of times I'll take their arm and just bring their arm over the end of the table like this too. Stretch this out. And then you can use your forearms to open up the side body. So that's another option that you have. I'll do that same stroke on the other side there. And like I said, it's good to come back and tie both sides of the back together after working on them separately. Keep your wrists straight as you go down the low back. You don't have to just go in straight lines though, too. You can also move to the side. Feels good to do little circles. Especially in the rhomboids and trap area here, you can really do a lot of nice work with little circles. Follow the medial border of the scapula down there. Here I'm just pressing my palms into the erectors. And don't feel afraid to just drag and use your fingertips to get more pressure there. Another move you can do on the scapula, if the client is up for it, are you okay with their arm in the small of your back? You can have the client put their arm in the small of the back, and you can see how the medial border of the scapula sticks out. So then you can come in from this angle and get underneath the scapula, or also from this angle with the knife edge of your hand. You can even use your fingertips like that, or like this. This isn't deep tissue, so we keep moving. You can also Put a hand under their shoulder and lift their scapula up like that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So again, I'm scooping under the scapula, scooping under the shoulder and holding the shoulder here with my arm. It's a good way to get deep under the scapula. Another technique you can do too is just using your fingertips against the side of the erectors like this. You can push into the side of the erectors here. You can also work on the erectors on the other side of the body too. Push them away from the spine. And you can do this kind of stroke all the way up and down the body. Just inch your way up. And then as you come around and start to finish the massage, it's good to go back to effleurage and do some big broad strokes with your whole hand. Help tie everything together. And we tend to slow down at the end to kind of signal to the client that we're finishing up this area. And maybe just rest right at the end of it there. And cover them back up.